Hey everybody, and welcome to this year's Halloween video. I hope you remember last year's video where I was dressed a little bit scarier than this costume. Check it out if you don't remember. Hello all you ghouls and goblins out there. Happy Halloween. Now, the articles that I want to talk about for this Halloween video came from last year's newspaper. You might have realized that I didn't make a Halloween video last year. I was a little bit busy. But these articles tend to think, and I'm going to quote it, that this holiday is innocuous. Innocuous means not harmful and not injurious. Well, some folklore about Halloween has suggested that there are evil people in the world who want to hurt children. So candied apples could have razor blades inserted in the center. And also the act of running around in the dark with costumes or masks that hide your face so you can't see very well, you can't breathe very well. You could fall down, get hurt.
Okay, here, hold this there. You get a picture, take a video.
Carving pumpkins, you can hurt your fingers and that sort of thing. But these are all just side effects of Halloween and possibly don't happen, possibly do. Precautions need to be taken. But the articles that I've looked at talk about why religious factors play into not allowing children to take part in this holiday. And in order to explain that, you need to know a little bit of history.
When most people think of Halloween, they think of trick-or-treating, parades, bobbing for apples, and other family-friendly activities. But bet you didn't know the true story behind the ancient origins of Halloween. It all goes back some 2,000 years to the ancient Celtic festival known as Samhain, celebrated on November 1st. On the night before Samhain, people believed that the dead returned as ghosts. They would leave food and wine on their doorsteps to keep roaming spirits at bay, and wear masks when they left the house so they would be mistaken for fellow ghosts. The Christian Church turned Samhain into All Saints' Day, or All Hallows, in the 8th century. The night before became All Hallows' Eve, later shortened to Halloween. You've heard of trick-or-treating on Halloween, but what about souling or guising? All three of these traditions originated in medieval Britain. On All Souls' Day, November 2nd, the needy would beg for pastries known as soul cakes. In return, they would pray for people's dead relatives. This was called souling. In the medieval Halloween tradition of guising, young people would dress up in costume and accept food, wine, money, and other offerings in exchange for singing, reciting poetry, or telling jokes. In 19th century America, Irish and Scottish immigrants revived these old traditions. The result was trick-or-treating. At first, it was much more about the tricks, in the form of pranks and hijinks, than the treats. It wasn't until the 1950s that the custom took on its current family-friendly, kid-centered form.
So the first article that I want to talk about came Sunday, October 26th, 2014, and it talks about religious roots on secular activities. And there are two religious groups that have an issue with celebrating Halloween: the Jewish, mostly Orthodox Jews, and the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, because my background is Jewish, but not Orthodox, I'm going to share a little bit more information about their views than of the Jehovah's Witnesses. I hope that's okay. There are two ideas about the legal and speculative ramifications of Halloween in the Jewish culture. Halakha is purely legal matters, and Agadata is ethical folklore and speculation. And because of these two competing ideas, I found two different resources about Jewish beliefs on Halloween. The first, Do Jews Celebrate Halloween, by Sibi Freeman, who wrote for Chabad.org, suggests that there's a holiday that children dress up and play roles and get to embody the same ideas of Halloween, and that holiday is called Purim. They drop by homes of community, visit the infirm and the aged, spreading joy and laughter. They bring food and drink and collect tzedakah, or charity, for the needy. This is a really great concept. But if you look at the other part, those who are more against Halloween and against the idea of connecting Halloween and Purim together, the article Halloween, A Jewish Perspective for Parents, which is on reformjudaism.org, suggests a couple things to do with your children of Jewish descent that take away from Halloween and yet give you an understanding of why Halloween is not something that should be shared in this particular manner. Number 1, call a family meeting and create together a 4-column list of words or drawings. What do we like about Halloween? What don't we like about Halloween? What's potentially hurtful to others about Halloween? So all of these things can get them to think before they act and before they embrace other cultures. Also, as a family, list the amount of money you would usually spend on costumes, decorations, and candy, and discuss alternatives for the year and brainstorm different ways of distributing that money. So it's giving them a lesson on money. Number 3, look for ways to participate without positively reinforcing the values entrenched in the ritual. Highlight fun of opening the door and giving to others. It's kind of like Purim in that sense of giving to charity. Contact a shelter and donate last year's costumes to children who need one this year. Have a tzedakah box at the door and put in a coin for every visitor who rings the bell. Count the number of trick-or-treaters, and for the total number of doorbell rings, purchase canned goods for the local shelter. Donate collected candy to a local hospital or shelter. I think these are all really great ideas. 4th is remember Purim. In just a few months, we'll have the opportunity to retell the story of the Book of Esther and dress up in costume and parade around the synagogue. And for those of you who don't know, a synagogue is like a church for the Jewish community. Now, the other side of the coin is the Jehovah's Witnesses' belief about Halloween. And in an article on Niner Times, which is the online home for Charlotte News an article by Michelle Carpenter on October 31st of 2013 called Why Jehovah's Witnesses Don't Celebrate Halloween. Talks just about that. There are Jehovah's Witness ministers who explain that they don't celebrate any worldly holidays or holidays that honor food, sex, magic, or any worldly thing. This includes Thanksgiving and birthdays. A concept like this is kind of foreign to us, but it means a lot to them. Halloween is considered worldly or a worldly holiday. To glorify them, it celebrates demons or monsters. And in another article from Blogspot known as Defend Jehovah's Witnesses, and this was published on October 7th, 2011, the Bible warns against the practice of spiritualism. In Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 10 through 12, the Apostle Paul wrote, I do not want you to be participants with demons. You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons. In 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 20 through 22, he also asked, what common interest can there be between goodness and evil? How can light and darkness share life together? How can there be harmony between Christ and the devil? What can a believer have in common with an unbeliever? So, this quoting in the New Testament, as well as the concept of not mixing good and evil, is why Jehovah's Witnesses do not believe that such spiritualist and worldly holidays as Halloween should be celebrated.